Should Raw be moving back to 2 hours? Like, what are our
No.
thoughts about this? Because Raw will move back to 2 hours on Monday after Bad Blood and be 2 hours until they debut on Netflix.
No.
It's a culture shock because since the 1000th episode, Raw has been 3 hours long, and it's gone from people saying, get rid of the third hour, to fans asking, how did we get to the third hour already? It feels like
Mhm.
the show has flown. So now to jump back into the 2 hours with the amount of talent that you have on the roster and the limited allotted time that you have, I'm very curious how they're going to pull this off.
Me too, and I think that's the problem that I have is that we already I mean, it's not just us. A lot of people talk about how they are upset that certain wrestlers are not getting TV time and that,
Mm-hmm.
the main thing that we see people say is Monday night is the Judgment Day show. They're involved in
Mm-hmm.
everything. They're throughout the entire show. And that does, in a way, take away from any opportunity that could be given to somebody else that's not on TV. So then taking away an entire hour, it's only going to make it worse. And some people are making an interesting argument. Like, I mean, according to the dirt sheets, they're saying that when they move back to move to Netflix, that they're going to go back to 3 hours. I wouldn't be surprised if we get some sort of variation between 2 and 3 hours. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it's not something that is like 3 hours exactly every single week. It might just depend on the show that week. Maybe this week it's 2.5. Maybe next week it's 3.5. You know what I mean? Like, instead of rushing things or slowing things down to fill time, it's like they're going to have a little bit more freedom because it's going to be streamed. So I think that is a good idea. Because there are shows that feel like they're dragging on, or there are shows that feel like we didn't get to see enough, or the main event was sped up because, oh, well, they have to be done, by 11. That's not going to be the case anymore. But I do think it's definitely going to be an adjustment for it to be down to 2 hours. And they're definitely trying to make up for it with the live crowd because Cody's been added to Raws for dark matches. LA Knight is now being added to Raw dark matches to kind of like help fill the gap, because obviously people who bought tickets months ago to go to these shows had no idea that an hour was going to be cut. So it's going to be interesting to see how they go about it, because it could be bad. I hope it's not.
It could feel rushed. Well, the thing is, every other show, wrestling show on television right now is 2 hours. NXT, SmackDown, AEW, TNA, like they're all 2 hours. So,
but SmackDown feels like that to me sometimes. Sometimes you're so interested in like what's going on, if it's a match or it's a storyline, and you're like, oh my god, it's like the show's already over. So I think it just depends. Like, not every single episode of Raw is good. So it's not like every single week you're thankful that there's 3 hours. There's sometimes where you're like, all right, you could have cut all that out and it could have been like 2 hours,
Yeah.
But I think it really does limit what they can do. So hopefully it'll be fine. I'm just kind of like, it's been this way for so long that it's like kind of concerning to be like, all right, how are they going to go about this? Because the roster is only bigger than it was when you first introduced the third hour,
and more talented, and a better
business is
captain
booming.
driver.
Yeah,
Business is booming. You actually have someone in charge that people want to work for and feel comfortable at working for. So
yeah,
it's going to be interesting. I'm very interested to see how it turns out.
it might